Good morning. Good Friday. Start out with the weather report. My nod to David Lynch while people, log on, get ready, and whatever. Um, the weather is there's a slight breeze. It's like an even 70. It's like room temperature. It's kind of what you're going for in your car when you're playing with the air conditioning. And that's the weather today, but I'll bet it's going to be a furnace in the valley later this afternoon. All right, that's the boring weather. So, hope everybody's doing well. And, the format is usually I write down questions from the comments that come underneath the announcement for this live stream. So I made an announcement yesterday. A bunch of you people wrote questions, and I write them down with pencil, and then I try to get to as many as I can. Don't feel offended if I miss yours. Patreon changed their website over the last week or something. Like it's all a little different. It's like an update or something, and which is something I hate it when that happens, unless it's a incremental and fantastic upgrade, like from carburetor to fuel injection, like that I can get behind. But when you're just changing it for I don't know why, and it's a little bit more confusing, and you're taking things away that this is the complaint of all modern men. Anyhow, my point is, this is my excuse. If I missed you, it's because the way that they queue now, when you do add more, I think it's backwards from the way it used to be. And so I just kind of lost track, and I also waited a little bit last minute to write down these questions, but let me get to them. So James asked me, do I wear glasses all the time? No, they're reading glasses, and they're like a little bit magnification for reading, and I wear them on the show just I don't because sometimes I'm reading off of a teleprompter, but also just for like the look, just to look like a shop teacher. Same with the shirt. Um, and do the guards on the side here limit my side vision? Not really. And if they do, I kind of like it. And how long do they last? I don't know. I think these are decades old. These glasses, I bought them used from eBay, and I've had them probably for 2 years with the prescription lenses in them, I think. And I just brought I got them from eBay, and then I brought them down to the optometrist at the bottom of the hill here. And then she was just like, yeah, we'll pop these. We'll pop whatever lenses you're in. She did my eye exam, and then they put the lenses in. So that's it. Okay, so this is a good one. Illy asked me, how did I fix my sunglasses? And he's talking about these sunglasses. And I want to see if I'm going to take this loop and put it over the lens and see if I can zoom in on the fix. No, it doesn't. Oh, well, it kind of works. So here's the little repair. I got to get really close to it in order for it to show up. So here's the repair. Let me try the 100mm macro. I know there's probably some gadget you can buy on the and you stick it on your computer and it does exactly what I'm trying to do, but I don't have that gadget and I don't want that gadget. So I just have this like $2,000 lens that nope, doesn't work. But I have another loop. Let's see if this one works. And then I think this goes like this. And let's see if I can get. Oh, this is pretty good. Still out of focus. There we go. So there's the front side that faces you. And then here's I can't do it because of the arms, but here's the back side that like rests against my nose. I can't do it because the arm. Well, if I fold the arms of the sunglasses, maybe. And the way I did it, this was hard. This was very hard to do. This might have taken more than one day. This is one of these projects that like people are like, if you had $1 billion, what would you do? I would do shit like this my life away. I would just do little tiny little crazy things like this my life away. But because you just get hypnotized and you get that thing where you have so much invested in it, like you keep throwing good money after bad or good time after bad. And so this is like the hardest sunglasses broken on the bridge. Like I usually don't bother, like forget it. Um, but these were a gift and they're glass lenses and the brand is Barton Pereira. Pereira. They should change. They should just call them Bartons or something. Anyway, it's my friend's parents' company, my friend Pat Towersy, and he brought a box. These things are super expensive, and he brought a box of them to Indonesia when we were doing this surf movie in Indonesia, and he like let us, or it might have been Japan. He let us pick out. There was like it was me and Tom Sachs's crew, and he let us each pick out whichever ones we want. And what is remarkable about these is that the lenses are glass. Very, very rare. Same with the old Varnays, which I also wear. The lenses are glass. Very rare. So they don't scratch that easily. So I wanted to save them. And so what I did was I took a piece of solid brass hardware. I think it was a hasp. It was like you know, like you know, I should just have one on hand. You know, like a little latch thing that you put a padlock through. It's called a hasp. And so I think I just like cut it with an angle grinder so I could get a good size chunk of it. This part I might have even made out of a key, maybe not though. And I angle grindered it to kind of fit the contour of this and right here and filled it with plumber's epoxy, drilled through the frame, and then drilled through this little thing. I made this piece here. I don't remember what I made out of, but I remember I had to use a blowtorch, and you can see the teeth marks from the vice grips that I used to hold it, and I used the blowtorch to like bend that arch so that it matched the contour, and then drilled through, and I used number 2 sheet metal screw right there. And this one, that when I originally did it, I didn't have stainless steel, so you can see it rusted. And I just last week fixed, or this week fixed, this one like stripped or came out from this side. It like popped off, and then I replaced it with stainless steel, which won't rust, but sometimes these leave like a dirt mark on the bridge of my nose. Anyway, that's how I fixed it, but it was, and then this is heat shrink tubing so that they don't slide off of my ears, which they do a lot. They used to a lot. But yeah, it was hard and involved, but the repair was repairable, which you know makes it kind of worth it. And I don't really lose sunglasses. God, please don't, knock on wood, please don't prove it's not hubris, it's just fact. I have a pair of sunglasses that I've had for 20 years. I still have them. Okay. Pavel asks about Milos Forman. I love Milos Forman. He's one of the masters, one of the greats. I've seen, I think 2 or 3 of his like Czech movies. I saw the one, I can't remember, but it's like this party, takes place at a party for like firemen in the Czech Republic. And I think it's just really about the bureaucracy of living under communist regime. And of course, I love The People versus Larry Flint, and then everyone loves One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah, he's a master. I think he did The Pianist. No, that's the other guy. That's Rosemary's Baby. Well, it'll come up in the comments. Okay. Roman Polanski, who's Polish, and I guess Polish and French, and then I think Milos Forman is Czech. Can't remember anymore. Oh, didn't he also do Amadeus? He's got like a bunch of Academy Awards, like 2 or 3, like Best Pictures. And I watched this documentary about the Chelsea Hotel. This documentary must have come out whenever some company bought the Chelsea Hotel and like turned it into luxury apartments or something. And this was back when it was like kind of a scumbag hotel, which I lived in New York at the very end of the Chelsea Hotel era, like the Sid Vicious, still junkies living in the building era. And in this documentary, Milos Forman, I guess, lived in there. And it really, when did this documentary come out? It must have come out, let's say it was like 2004, something like this. And he said that he was, I want to say 3 years behind on rent, something like that, something crazy like that. Like he hadn't paid his rent in 3 years, and I was watching, and it really gave me insight as to, I always thought that like if you've heard of a filmmaker, if you've heard of an actor, if you've heard of a musician, they're rich, especially a 3-time Academy Award winning filmmaker. He's rich. And he's living in a crap, the Chelsea wasn't nice. It was just cool. He's living in a crap hotel, and he was like 3 years behind on rent. It was like, whoa. But yeah, Milos Forman is one of the greats. Oh, Nathan asks, how do I balance using other people's rules for life/work with my own? And how do I differentiate between copying and influence? I guess it's a matter of like refinement. You start with your parents' rules and you kind of have to follow those just because of the consequences of not following them. And then you kind of refine those rules or see, wow, that was kind of dumb. And then, as far as like artists or influences, I think the ones that I can remember that makes sense or that I've like been burned before, and then someone says something like keep a list, or be on time. Those are pretty basic, but um, I'll take those, especially when they come as just like free advice, and then balance them with my own, and then my own are like my little discoveries, but they probably just match a lot of the stuff just matches my weaknesses or my inadequacies. Like I have an absolutely abysmal memory, and it's a completely random memory, and it's not functional at all. And if someone were to say to me, there's $160 million waiting for you, but you can't write down these directions. You go straight, take a right on McDormand Street, a left on James Street, go straight for a mile, and take another right on Smith Street, and then I would never remember that. The $160 million would go to somebody else. It doesn't matter that's why that's why I write so many things down. And I've been burned trying to be like, no, I'll remember. I've been burned so often that it just becomes a rule. Like that's a specific example. Yeah, I had a psychiatrist meeting, like Zoom, and they're expensive, and they're once a month, and it was on Monday, and I like did the alarms on my computer, Google alarm for my computer, and I also have an iPad in here, and I also have the phone, and I wrote it down, on my list that I carry with me, and I wrote it down on my thing, and the meeting was at 11:30, and at 11:15, I was like, don't forget the meeting. Don't forget the meeting. Don't forget the meeting. And then I started editing or something, and it was 11:40. And I was like, oh, fuck. And so I logged on, blah, blah, blah. And I just said to him, look, I'm not solving this problem anymore. I've done my best. And I've had this for like people giving me money. I've like missed calls. Like this person's going to give me $10,000. The call is Friday at and I do the same protocol, all this stuff, and something is happening, and I'm an hour late for a guy who's going to give me money for like nothing. And I just said to my I've just been battling. It's so stressful, and I try to like I I I don't know how to incentivize myself, and I've struggled in years and years. It's not like I haven't tried, and I'm like at the point of like, you know what, I give up. I don't care. You know, like opportunity be damned. I don't care. I'll pay the money for the whatever I lost, whatever, however much, 10 minutes of the 60 minutes of the meeting for the psychiatrist. And that's kind of a new revelation, but I'm also like in a little bit of I'm having like deep burnout, which is kind of what the next video that's not coming out until Monday. Um, that's what the next one's kind of about. It's about to-do lists, but also like just like this I have this deep burnout that I can't seem to sleep off on the weekends, and I even though I get a lot of rest and everything, but that's just a different thing. Um, oh, so Raphael asked me, I guess in relation to the video I made about the gifts that helped my son, like that led up to my son being able to ride the little motorcycle. He asked me um about if I could remember any gifts that have transformed me. And I interpret that to mean physical object gifts, not the gift of life and the gift of patience. And no, like what's like a physical object that has transformed me. I can think of the gift givers, and like once I had this computer, I was doing my first. Casey and I were doing our like first hired like to make a film like video thing, and the computer, the iMac DV, the first generation or second generation iMac, but the first generation that you could edit video on, 10 gigabyte hard drive. um this was probably 2001 or 2002. um it just died. I killed it. Too much data on the hard drive, and I didn't have an external. I had things backed up on tape, and the whole project, the guy was coming to see a cut of the movie, the guy who gave us like the most money we'd ever been paid. And it was an emergency. And Casey, I think, was the Sax's studio manager at the time. And I called him and I was just like, dude, I don't know what to do. This thing is dead. What should I do? And then, like, a couple hours later, man, this was so cool. Casey and Tom knock on the door. It's Casey and Tom. And Tom has the best. It was a G3 iMac. Not sorry, Macintosh Pro tower with a like whatever widescreen, giant monitor. And he was like, "Why didn't you ask me for this months ago? I had a lot to do today." And they had like gone out. Saks paid for it. He had gone out and bought like that machine, and we did a lot of amazing shit on that machine, and it was like part of the development was that machine. It's one of the things that bums me out about these computers is that they just turn into garbage no matter what you've been through with them, or unlike a good car or something, or unlike almost every other tool that I use, including cameras last forever. Not the tape ones so much because there's so much gearage in there, but I have all these old 20-year-old point and shoots and stuff. So that was one, that G3. That's what came to mind immediately. And it was also super expensive. It must have been $8,000 in 2002. Um, da, da, da. Oh, this leads to the next one. Sodbuster asks, I guess Sodbuster had some VHS and films he maybe kept in a basement. Maybe they're his family. I don't know how he came across them, but he says, tips on how to restore film and VHS with mold or funk on them. So what I would do is I would start with the film because film is more robust. And I would get like a microfiber cloth and just sort of foot by foot mold. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of molds, but a lot of the mold is just kind of like surface fuzz. And I would I would just pull the film through the microfiber and maybe get some kind of very gentle um, spray. They make this spray that's for cleaning um, like plexiglass. It's like a special kind of very gentle spray specifically for plexiglass. I mean, it depends how old the film is. The film is probably made out of urethane. I don't know, but test like a couple inches of the frames, to make sure it doesn't pull the emulsion off, which it probably won't. Also, there's two sides to the film. There's one side that has like the photosensitive emulsion on it, and then there's the other side that's just the plastic. So you got to figure out which side is which, and then you can go aggressive with the plastic side, but the emulsion side, which is the side that's down on the reel usually, um, that will that will that'll be a little bit more sensitive. You have to be a little careful with that. So I would do a little test strip, figure out the right chemical, figure out the right cloth. Similarly for the VHS tapes, it's going to be oddly less robust because now you're talking about like magnetic particles on plastic. So I would maybe use a lens wipe, those like things that sort of look like tissue paper, but they're specifically for wiping the lens of your whatever. The disposable kind that are like almost see-through. I would use those and do bits of the VHS. First of all, you have to take the tape apart. Forgot to say that. Take the tape apart, the VHS tape apart on a table. Best thing to use is probably a big Frisbee or some bolts so that you don't lose all the little screws and stuff. It's like 5 screws. Take the whole thing apart. And then, just the thought of doing this stresses me out. And then, yeah, wipe off, 10 feet, 10 feet of it, or maybe get off all the big stuff, rewind it to the beginning. Yeah, do that. Rewind it to the beginning because that's all just rewind it to the beginning. And then take it apart and wipe 10 feet of it or so with the stuff I was just talking about. Then put it back in the VCR, put it back together, put it back in the VCR, rewind it, and then watch it and see what happened, and then go from there. I mean, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be fast, but it'll probably be worth it. Or just could find one of those companies that do it. They're still around. There's probably restoration, but they'll be expensive. Okay, what's the next one? Mosak asked me for an update on the Panama adventure, and is it in the near future? Well, I'm getting close. I think this December I'm gonna embark on the Mexico trip. I'm just trying to the first step is to replace the engine, which I think I'm gonna do in September. So December, January, I think will be Mexico, and I'm gonna try to build in a break. I'll still be doing stuff on Patreon and still be somehow posting videos, but I'm gonna do a break from my weekly routine because my brain's starting to get a little detached. So, and that will be kind of a sabbatical wherein I think I will come up with the new format for the third year, for year 3, which will debut in January or whatever, or February. And that will be a test, sort of a test of how to do the Panama thing, which then might be the following year to drive down to Panama. Maybe not this December, because this December will be Mexico, but the following December 2023. And I might just kind of do that weird 2-month sabbatical every year to refresh and recover. Because this thing, I mean, it seems like it should be easy and it looks so easy, but making this stuff, especially with such a, it's just really me. And then Braxton's been working remotely. He gets here today, I think, or tomorrow. He's taking the train down to LA from Oregon. But yeah, I'm a little burned. So Well, this one came from Nick. This really touched my heart. He said he's 43, and he says, "How do I come to terms with the realization that some dreams are unobtainable?" I paraphrased what he said, but how do I come to terms with the realization that some dreams are unobtainable? And this happens in your 40s. This is like when you're in your 40s, the doors just go shunk, shunk, shunk. Like the military stops. I'm pretty sure you can't get into the military after 35. So that's the first one. You're not joining the military. And then a lot of the athletic stuff. I know so there's this race called the Paris Dakar, and it's arguably it used to be called the Paris Dakar. I think it's just called the Dakar Rally now, and I think now it's in Saudi Arabia. It's moved all over the world due to like terrorist threats. But traditionally, the race is from Paris to Dakar. What's the? I'll think of the capital, but to Dakar, and it's like the most rigorous, incredibly difficult motorsport races in the world. You drive, and there's trucks, cars, and there might be like, I don't know, but there's motorcycles is the one that's the hardest one, and you have to do it on your own. And it's like if you miss the stage that day, you're out. You can't take as long as you want to go from the stages to the stages. People replace their clutches in the middle of this race, and amateurs are allowed to enter it with the best riders in the world. And when I was getting successful with the Neistat brothers and stuff, I thought I could put myself into a position where I could afford to do it. Charlie Borman, who was Ewan McGregor's partner on that Long Way Round, Long Way Down. He did the series with BMW where they rode their motorcycles like all over the world. He trained and competed and was like sponsored by BMW and did it with a factory rider. But he broke his hands. But I thought maybe I'd be able to organize something like that. I was in good athletic shape. I was a runner. I was a marathon runner. I had endurance. And I thought I could just get in good bike shape. And then the hardest part would have been putting all the money together. Cause like the cheapest bike at the time, it's God knows what it is now. But at the time, I think the cheapest bike you could compete with would be like a $50,000 or $60,000 bike. And then the fees were another 50,000 euros or something like this. And the time you have to put God amount of time to do. The first Canadian to ever finish this race was in 2001. They've been doing this race for like 50 years or something. And the first Canadian to ever complete it was in 2001. It's like Everest. It's like something like that. It's a big, I wonder if fewer people have done it than have done Everest. Anyhow, that's just something that so the champions of it, like at the time when I was interested to do it, the champions like Cyril Dupre were in their mid late 40s, and then the best guy at the time, this guy named Mark Coma, who's the only famous person I would ever approach in public and say blah 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 blah. Mark Coma, 5-time champion of Dakar on bikes. He was a factory rider for KTM. I don't know if this is still true, but all the 25 of the top 27 finishers were on KTMs. Like they own that race. He was born in 1975, just like me. And he was like winning championship. It's like you got to kind of be an older guy to do it. And, but that window is just fucking closed, man. I can't do it. No way. It's impossible. Maybe my son can, but I'm not, I'm not that kind of person where I'm like, dude, you got to do this. This is what you should know. So how do you deal with it? I think you just have to be sad. I think you just have to be sad about it. That's it. It's just the sadness. And like, it's one of those things with life. And I don't know, when they close, it's a bummer. It really is. But time wounds all heals, as John Lennon said. Oh, this is a good one. I like this. So Jonathan asked me, what sort of lessons or techniques do I use with my son to instill self-reliance and independence? Okay, so this is I had an experience on Tuesday that has sort of shifted my brain on this a little bit, or I've learned something new on Tuesday because of something that happened. But I had, I've been thinking about raising kids since I was a kid. Like, if I was a dad, I would do this. If I was a dad. So, and I got lucky because my firstborn was a boy. So I got lucky. And I'm a Gen Xer, and there is a big difference between Gen X and the millennials and the Gen Zers. And one of the chief, like qualities or stereotypes of Gen X is that we were basically, that it's like the latchkey kid generation. We were basically neglected by our boomer parents. And so we learned a lot of self-reliance, and we're like, stereotypically we're tough, and we're capable people. And I was always very scared as a little kid, and I think that's because I didn't have a father for, like, from 2 to, like, 5, and that's I think you need a lot of reassurance and encouragement in that. So I got, it was all women. It was all women. It was I have 5 aunts and my mom and, all their friends and so forth, and I think that bravery wasn't taught to me appropriately because it's a learned skill. It's also genetic, but, um, it was important to me. Someone said, I think it was either like Maya Angelou or Nikki Giovanni or Toni Morrison. I think it was Maya Angelou said that of all the virtues, courage is the most important because with courage, you can get all the other ones, but you need courage first. So it's always been my agenda with my kid is these are the 2 things I'm teaching him. I'm teaching him strength and courage. Those are at the top of my list. And then, like, the world will teach him to, like, be polite, and his mom will teach him, like, compassion and sweetness and blah, blah, blah. But what I wanna teach him is strength and courage. So, right now, I'm just trying to help him find the thing that he's obsessed with, that he will exert himself beyond his abilities out of the sheer joy of doing it. And he has that with the little dirt bike. Like, I've seen him exhaust himself and just drop it in the dirt and just say, I'm too tired. And I've had to, like, pick him up, put him on my bike, carry his bike, and ride through the woods, mountains, and dirt to get him back to the car. Um, and then the bravery thing, teaching him bravery is a lot about me being brave. And I'm sorry, and this is probably, like, illegal and nobody wants to hear this, but, like, exposing him to potentially dangerous without neglect, with, potentially dangerous, or allowing him to engage in potentially dangerous activities, where he could get hurt. And, last night he was playing on the hearth by the fireplace. He was playing with matches and doing all this stuff. And, sometimes he burns himself. Sometimes I burn myself. Sometimes I cut myself. I'm 47 years old. I've been working with my hands my whole life. And that's what I say to him. But okay, so on Tuesday, so this is where, okay. So on Tuesday, he was with his friends at his friend's house, and it's our friends from New York, and they live here in Topanga. New house that the house isn't new, but they just bought this house. It's amazing. It has an amazing view. It's up a steep hill, up all these like, I don't know, 75 stairs. And Isabel, thank God, we eh, our son is up at the house, 100 steps away from us. We are on the street and we are walking up. Isabel's in front of me. She's walking up the stairs and she says, "Oh, there's a snake." She said, "Do you have your light?" It was starting to get dark. "Do you have your light? I can't tell if it's a rattlesnake or not." And so I turned my light on and it was a rattlesnake. It was probably a 5-foot rattlesnake. Um, and it kind of like whatever, slithered away into a corner where it couldn't escape. It coiled itself up, and the corner was right by the door to get into the house. I'm sorry, the door at the top of the landing, 10 steps up from the street. You open the door, you go up another 60 steps, and you're at the house, right? So we couldn't use that door. It was right there, like where the door opens. It was right there, 8 inches away from where the door opens. You're not, and it's coiled up. So we climbed the thing. We climbed over the fence, and then we went up. They have another set of stairs. We climbed up to the top of the set of stairs, went to the house, warned everybody there's a coiled rattlesnake, blah, 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 down at the bottom of your thing. Don't use the bottom don't use the bottom door. Still there. We all went down, and then we shined our lights on it, and we were looking at it, and X wanted to see it. And I said, okay, come on up. And he got to the top of the stairs, and I let him get too close because I remember a reptile guy coming to our school talking about it was a cobra. It wasn't a fucking rattlesnake. He said a cobra can only go, if it comes up, if it's up on its hind, it can only strike that distance. But this rattlesnake was 5 feet long and in a coil, in a spring. And I think it could have, and Isabel kind of freaked out. She was like, that's too close. That's too close. That's too close. And so I had him go down a couple steps. We were just looking at it. We weren't provoking it, but he was like he was stupidly brave. He wasn't brave. He was stupid in how willing he was to get close to it. Now I read in Where I Was From by Joan Didion. She said that it's a California tradition that if you see, and this is from the pioneer days, if you see a rattlesnake, you kill it because you have to look out for the next guy. And we kill them here on the property. I have the grabber thing. Tom Sachs just sent it to me as a gift. I have the grabber thing. You get them by the neck, you chop their head off with an axe. And these people, we're friends from New York. And so, New Yorkers, we don't have a sense of nature. We don't understand that nature is not Yosemite Valley and beautiful waterfalls. Nature is trying to kill you all the time. And nature is basically the enemy that we've been fighting for our entire existence. So I was saying, I don't know if I said something. I think I said something to the effect of we should kill this rattlesnake. And the husband says, who's my old friend from 20 years or something, he says, I know your Joan Didion thing, but we're not, and I didn't engage, blah, blah, blah. Got a phone call, text message, a couple nights later, bit his wife. It was on the property somewhere. She was walking down the steps. It bit and grabbed her like Achilles. She sent a picture from the hospital of her 2 legs, and one leg was like a normal woman-sized leg, and one leg, I'm not shitting, was like this, was like a fucking watermelon. She's in the hospital for a week. And the point is, yesterday, I said, she's not going to die. Death from rattlesnake bites is very rare, but you do have to be hospitalized. It's super dangerous. It's a nightmare. But yesterday I had to teach my son to be afraid of snakes. I said, you should be scared of them. I want you to be scared of them. Like I taught him, do not run away from coyotes. You fight a coyote, you scream, you run, you throw rocks at it, whatever. But snakes, I said, I want you to be scared, and I want you to come get me. If you see a snake, don't go near it. Don't poke it. Don't try to kill it. Don't anything. I'm trying to teach him to be fearful. And it was a weird thing. But, that's a long story of like what happened this week. And then my buddy, the husband, he went and hired a snake guy, and they tried to hunt it and find it, and they couldn't find it. What time is it? Oh, okay. Got plenty of time. Tyler asked, do I store my archival footage on a solid state drive or a hard disk drive, HDD? like the spinning kind. I just buy the spinning kind for storage, and then I buy the solid state for work for like if I'm using software on that, like Final Cut. I use the solid state because they're faster, but they're way more expensive. And they said, "How much archive do I have?" I don't know. I have like a lot of tapes. I have 100 or more tapes that I haven't put on. They're digital video, but I haven't put them in hard drives. I haven't. They're like still on tape. They're not on whatever the H2 whatever Apple format .mov files. So I have like 100 of those. I don't know how much that is. And then I have an 8 gig, or I'm sorry, 8 terabyte hard drive that's not full. And that's all my archival because all that old DV stuff, the tapes, the files aren't as big as like high def. Um, Paula asked me, what writing rules do I follow besides the story must have a surprise? Uh, um, I wrote that down and I had a lot of ideas and now I don't have them. Oh, basic stuff like no one sees my writing until it's ready to go public. Like, no, like, what do you think of this? How about the no way, never. Not until it's like, I'll talk about it. I'll say, I'm at this thing, and it helps me think out loud. But no, and I don't even do that ever. I mean, I've done that, but I do not show anyone to until it's done, really, until it's ready to be published. Another thing is I write rough drafts with notes with pencil and paper, and then I do the typewriter, and I do a lot of drafts, and I try to get it. I keep trying to refine it to, just drafts, but I start from scratch when I write a new draft, and I don't write on the computer. Um, it's too easy to change. It's too easy to be non-committal, and I don't like these things. They're not pleasant. They're not joyful to me. Um, some I write down if I have to look something up how it's spelled. I write it down on a little post-it and cut it out and stick it to the top of my typewriter because I think it helps me remember how to spell it right the next time, and then I can just look for it instead of going to the computer. I try not to describe things. We live in a visual era. So, like, if you read these old-fashioned books, it's like, I don't care. I don't care what it looks like. Just tell me it's a house. I don't care. Or maybe it's a big house. I don't care. I don't care if it's red. I don't care if it has, unless it's, if you have to tell me it's a thatched roof because later somebody's going to be playing with fire, that's different. But so I try not to use like a lot of adjectives and stuff because I'm writing usually for visual medium. And then don't be creative, don't be fancy, just get the point across. Don't try to be a poet. Just try to be kind of plain, I think. Uh yeah, I don't know. Those are some of them. Who's next? Anthony. Oh, Anthony asked me this one. How do you get through life's problems or life problems? That's also, I paraphrased it. Oh my God. I pray a lot. And I was at an AA meeting and the guy's like, I'm an atheist, but prayer works even if you don't believe in in it. And that act of surrender of just, it's like an admission that like, okay, I don't have this. I don't have this. Please help me. Please get me through this. And it doesn't work the way you want it to, but it does work. Also, I'm like a workaholic, so I kind of, and almost all of my problems are just money problems. So by working harder at my job at this stuff, then in my mind, it's like, well, that's at least effort towards solving the problems. And then, I have AA, so I have a whole like support group there to talk to people about. I have a psychiatrist that I talk to once a month, and I've got a wife. Well, we're not married yet, but common law. I've got a common law wife. Um, but really, a lot of it is just white knuckling it. It's just enduring it, and understanding that it's going, whatever this problem is, it's going to end. But yeah, life is hard for everybody, man. And I've got it very, very good. Um, oh, so this one was I don't want to paraphrase this. So whoa, 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 whoa. So I screenshot it. And Emmanuel said, I'm tired. I'm empty. I keep moving myself and my fiance from thing to thing, thinking one day this hole will get filled and that I'll prove it to myself and everyone else that this urge was justified and that I'm the artist slash engineer slash business person I always thought I was. Does it ever stop? Oh my God. I think it, oh, something just happened to my live stream. I hope it's still, oh, there we go. Does it ever stop? I think it gets less intense. I don't know how old Emmanuel is. I think success helps. Like if you have a goal, right? If you have a target and you reach the target, it helps a little bit, and then you're a little bit more patient with the next one. But I don't know. I haven't really. I don't know. I don't know how these people become billionaires. Like how did you not stop at 750 million? Think of the options, but I don't know. So I don't know if it stops, but a lot of those voices are right. Those things that nag at you and you just have to keep doing it. The thing about moving around a lot, in AA, they call that geographics. And sometimes it's just a way of just changing the situation without solving the problem, whatever the problem might be. So you have to be careful of that. But at the same time, I'm from Gen X and we're the nomad generation. And sometimes you're just trying to find that landing, like where is the right place for me? And like for me now, it's here. It's like I don't want to live anywhere else. I don't know. It's really hard to live here. It's very expensive. There's fucking rattlesnakes trying to kill us. But in other ways, it's just absolutely perfect, especially for me. And like that's the one thing in life that I've gotten right. I know that that's the one thing I can rest on. It's like I know that. I know I'm not leaving Topanga. And so I'm adjust other stuff. But I don't know. I never really suffered through a job that I hated for more than like a couple months or something. I never was in that. I never had a life of just like the job itself was like sucking me dry. Didn't I just was in jobs that sucked me dry, but they were temporary situations and I knew they were temporary situations and I just needed to like, and by temporary I mean 6 months max. Max. you know, um when I worked at Scholastic, I worked there for 2 years, but, I was like they were kinda paying me to develop as a writer, to, like, become a professional writer, and I was learning New York City at that time too, and that wasn't a soul-sucking job, that was pretty fun. It was the opposite, you could kinda get trapped in there because it was, like, probably one of the easiest jobs in publishing because it was such a secure publishing house, and, they'd just done the 2nd Harry Potter book, and they were on their way, and it was just a great, great place. One of the best places to work. Um, but you know, I can't imagine that thing about. I can imagine that thing about a soul sucking job where you're just like, oh my god, this is miserable. But I'm not smart enough to have one of those. I know it sounds stupid and trite, but it's really true. Like I just was not capable. Can't do it. unable to do it. Some people can't dunk a basketball. Like, I can't do that either. Uh, so, it's just a matter of, like, survival of finding some damn thing, and, I don't know if it ever ends. Doesn't feel like it ever ends. Like, this week, I've struggled. I don't know that I've struggled to get a video done, and this week's video isn't very good, sorry, but it just isn't. Even though I gave it my all, I'm just, um, I just I'm like getting burned out or something. So I don't know, but the kind of the drive is still there, but it's like a survival thing. You got to pay the rent. I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know if it ever stops. Probably in your 70s, you just stop giving a shit. I think that's what I'm told. That's what Ray Dalio said. Um, oh, Emmanuel. Oh no, sorry, that was Emmanuel. JW asked Honda Rebel 500 or Harley Street 500 for his first bike. I would say Honda Rebel. I would say when in doubt, go Japanese. I don't really know anything about Harleys. I find them extremely annoying, especially the loud ones. That whole loud pipes save lives. Really? Really? I don't think so. I don't think they do. Um, I think, the margins save lives. Helmets, being very careful. Um, and the Rebel, the Honda, there's probably so many parts that's really cheap. I think they sold 175 billion or trillion of those bikes. There's probably a whole like community, and you know, they're the current points leader in Formula One, Honda, and they won the Formula One World Championship last year. So Honda, go with Honda. Um, how do I allocate time and set priorities throughout the day/week? I do. I have to-do lists, and then I have a new kind of. They look like this that I carry with me, and then I have a new kind of to-do list. If you see, wait, let me see these things on the wall here. One of them, I think this one, I think is like my daily to-do list, where I'll just write like Monday or Friday, July 1st, and then underline the things and then write the things I have to do for that day. But priorities, I have a very hard time with. I have a lot of trouble with there's like this intelligence test they made us take in high school or in elementary school, and it's like you're trapped on the moon, and you have like 100 items, and like which are the ones, order them in most important to least important, and like the first two or three are easy because like the first one's air, yes, the second one's like water, third one's food, but then they get tricky because it's like, well, I don't know. I'm pretty clever. Like I could use this seems more useful. The gun seems more useful than the hammer. And you can use a gun as a hammer, but you can't use a hammer as a gun. Um, uh, so priorities difficult for me. I consult with people. Um, oh Jesus, I have a hard time with things that are very important and very easy. That I struggle with that. Like, go to your bank account and click the accept button so that the $10,000 wire transfer or whatever will go through. Like that kind of stuff. I know it's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, writing it down. Oh, that's hard. It's hard, all these steps. Um, oh, and then Mark asked me when the manual, the project I'm working with Saks is coming out. I have no idea. Nobody does. I don't know. 10 years? I don't know. Okay, so now I got like 5 more minutes left. I'm a little behind with this video this week, so I got to hard out at 10 or 10:10. Okay, Eric Vega asks, when is a good moment to ask for help when making your artwork? As an artist, how do you know how to step back and let others do the work? I think if you think it's done, but you can't tell, when you think it's done, but maybe it's not, guess it depends on the damn art. I think it depends on the medium. So ask for help when making your artwork. So in the beginning, to learn the techniques, you're gonna need help for that. So when you're first starting out, for the first, I don't know, 10 years, and like making a specific project, I guess it depends on the medium. When is a good moment to ask for help when making your artwork? Artist, how do you know how to as an artist, how do you know how to step back and let others do the work? Oh man, I don't know how. I don't know. I'm too micromanagey. I don't know how to do that because I feel like I'm making all these very important discoveries or decisions all the way through the process. And like a lot of times when I'm editing, I have a whole new script change thing that I got to do and re-record and stuff. And there's no way an editor is coming up with it. I don't care what they say. Mr. Beast says all YouTubers say the same thing, but Emily Chamberlain says the reason I didn't hire an editor because editing is like my favorite part of this the whole reason I got into this thing is to be so I could edit my thing. That's what I like doing. So I don't know how to ask. Cameras, I'll let anybody shoot. I don't care. They're not important. I don't like them. I don't care. That all looks kind of the same at this point. They're all great. Like this, you know. Um, but I think you do not get help when you are writing. You don't get help when you're writing until you have a finished draft that you think is finished, and you maybe need help to say, is this clear? I'm trying to say this. Does that come across here? Like you want to be clear. But I think, yeah, finish it. And then if you're uneasy about it, you show it to someone and then ask them what they think, someone good. And then I don't know about collaboration. It's something I got to learn how to do. I don't know. Yeah, the only thing I know how to do is with the camera. And then ideas, if you're at the idea stage. Yeah. Okay, how's this? Oh, Braxton. I thought he was on a train. I don't know where he is. Okay. Um, oh, this is a good one. Biagio asked me, "Hey, Mr. Van, do you have fear for failure? How do you face it? I'm 25 and I'm frightened because I'm not yet sure what is my thing." Um, yeah, I mean, of course, like you have the fear of yes, but the more you go, it's just part of the process, man. Failure is just it's just you get used to it. I think I'm not that afraid of it. Um, I wish I was a little bit more afraid of like I wish I could draw that. When I draw the energy from fear to keep me going, it usually manifests in the form of anger, which is like that anger energy, which works. But I kind of am done. I've exhausted that. I don't want to do that anymore. And so I'm trying to think about fear of failure. No, no, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I probably used to when I was 25, probably, but either it's gonna keep you on your it's just what you do in the fear isn't the important thing, right? It's like what you do in the face of it. How do you behave? And like you just gotta fail. I mean, if you don't oh, I have one of the quotations that I wrote on my wall here. I have all these quotations that I keep meaning to make YouTube shorts out of, which maybe I'll do now that Braxton's here. And it says, "Losers don't fail," which is true. Because if you're just only doing stuff that if you're only trying stuff that you won't fail at, you're a loser, man. You got to fail. Oh, and Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio says, pain plus reflection equals progress. So yeah, just failure. Just fail. That's why, I mean, the ones that are really that I have a tremendous amount of respect for are the people who like go all in, everything, mortgage the house, everything, and then fail. That is incredible. Because failure is, it's education. It's like a lesson. It's a lesson. And you can't fail. I don't know that you learn the lesson if you failed having not done your best, which is different than going all in. Doing your best and going all in, people use that phrase a lot. I caught my brother using it. He's like, I'm all in on such and such. I'm like, you're not all in. You still own a house. You still have the cars. What are you talking about? You're not all in. You still have a Rolex. You're not all in. That's not what all in means. Enthusiastic is not the same as all in. But I think you got to do your best. And then if you fail, so what? What could you do? But yeah, the fear, I mean, it depends on also on how long of a timeline. Like, oof. Yeah, I don't know. It also depends, like, what are the stakes of failing and like who else suffers? But if it's just you, yeah. Yeah. If it's just you, it's okay to be afraid. Just do it anyway. All right. What else? All right. 10:02. I'm going to do one more. I'm just going to scroll and stop. I've read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Yep. What is my storage case brand? The big ones are Hardig cases. You get them like Army Surplus on the internet. The big green things that I have. Um, um, this is really fun, by the way, like going through all these questions. X is not named after Gen X. Oh, this is cool. Read The Mosquito Coast if you are a lost artist. Learn from how too much passion can lead you to no success. I've never read the book, but I saw the movie, and man, it's fucking good. It's really good. Mosquito Coast. Peter Weir directed it. It's really good. And it is about that whole follow your passion thing. Fuck you. Yeah, you know who follows their cat passion? Serial killers. Yeah, the thing about follow your passion that bothers me is that I think people doubt their thing because they don't feel passionate about it despite being successful. I'm talking about their job. Like people are like, well, I'm not passionate. It's like, yeah, I make $77 million a year, but I'm not passionate about it. It's like, okay, well, work it for the rest of the year and then you never have to work again and be passionate about something else. Favorite Wes Anderson film? Oh gosh, it changes. But Rushmore, come on. It's Rushmore. Tenenbaums is great. Rushmore is like perfect. Have you ever been checked for ADD, HD? I've been 3 times in 3 different states by 3 different psychiatrists diagnosed with ADHD. And I take Ritalin. I think I'm gonna do an episode about Ritalin. It's a tremendous help. Um, Now you're now describe a typical situation, people with ADD, and that was my psychiatrist's reaction was just like, "Oh, we can change your medication." I'm like, "Nope. No, we can't. We're sticking with this one, and I'm just gonna deal with these consequences because I don't know. I don't know, make the alarm louder on my phone. Okay. All right. I think that's it. I think we did it. It's an hour and 5 minutes. Uh, okay. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'm gonna try to get that video done. Probably come out 9 a.m. on Mondays because it's better for the algorithm. They perform better when you release them then. So that's the goal. Not done with this one this week. I should be done before I start the live stream. But have a good weekend and take care, everybody.